Hi, my name is Sarah Walker and I'm Head of Reference Services here at the State Archives. Today we're celebrating Archives Month, so we're going to go around behind the scenes and meet our staff. So if you're ready, let's go.
I'm Ashley and I'm one of the reference specialists here. My job is to answer reference questions that come in via the phone, the email, or in person. I also help manage and supervise the reading room, so I greet people and I help them get them set up with their collections and materials and any other questions they may have. You meet a lot of different people from all over the country, and they all have very interesting families, very interesting research topics, and they're all really nice.
Hi, I'm Daniel Sarwine. I'm a reference specialist here at the State Archives. Got interested in graduate school at UND. I ended up doing an internship as part of my coursework and also then taking on a, for lack of a better term, work study position in special collections up there and fell in love with it. And so when our open position here opened up, I applied because it sounded like a fun opportunity. Probably one of the more unique things was discovering a probate case file involving the family of James Fenimore Cooper. It was his daughter who ended up having some railroad land out in the eastern part of the state, and so that parcel of land went into probate. So it was really kind of unique seeing her name and even a reference to her relation to him in that case file.
Hi, I'm Matt Eli. I'm an archives assistant at the State Archives. I'm doing some database work on the Veterans History Project. Right now I'm just kind of making sure everything that we've got in the database matches what we've got in the boxes and checking other stuff that we've got in the database. I really enjoy when I get to work with kind of old documents and old books and that sort of thing, and I really enjoy being able to look at them and handle them and make sure they're preserved for the future. Yeah, there's a folder. It's got a tape with an interview, and then there's some old photos of the veteran, and that's all this one's got, but some of them have got transcripts and other information about them and that sort of thing.
Hi, my name is Emily Bishta. I'm the manuscript archivist at the North Dakota State Archives. So I was a history major at NDSU and I applied for a job. I was sick of working fast food. So I applied at the library there and they said, oh, you're a history major, you should apply at the archives. And I said, what are archives? So I ended up applying instead of at the library at the archives at NDSU, and that's where I got my start. It was fun as a student worker. It just opened my eyes to primary sources in the whole world of archives. So right now I'm working on the Van Horn Ritterbusch. It was an architectural company, I should say, in Bismarck. We got some new materials, so I'm taking a look at our existing collection and I'm rehousing it. We've got this fancy pen here that tells us if materials are acidic. So I've been testing the old folders and finding, yep, they're acidic. So rehousing, reorganizing, and then I'll eventually integrate the new materials that we received. So this is just kind of a day in the life working with the old collections and the new collections. So these materials have already been processed and I'm just taking a look at them and seeing if I can reorganize them. And then the new material will be integrated into this organization scheme. So these are pretty easy. The new stuff comes in as it was donated.
Hi, my name is Luce. I'm the audiovisual archivist. This is one of the oral histories that I'm working on digitizing. Right now, I'm working on the Matt Werven oral history collection. He created over 700 audio cassette tapes containing interviews with people from the northeastern part of the state, a very rural area, and it just documents the lives of people that lived there. So I got my start in AV archiving as a volunteer at Texas State Library and Archives Commission in Austin, digitizing 16mm film. And then that, little volunteer opportunity ended up just like blossoming into more and more internships in AV archiving. I applied for jobs in other areas of archives and even like digital asset management, but my resume just screamed AV archiving, and audiovisual archiving was pretty much all I was destined for.
Hi, my name is Virginia Bajornis, and I'm head of technical services at the State Archives. My position is a library position that focuses on publications, working with books, maps, serials. And what I'm wanting to show you today is the collection of family history, genealogy, and biography books that are held within the State Archives collection. Genealogy, family history, and biography books are in this area, housed within the State Archives collection, that deal with the history of this region, the people who lived here, the communities they built. This first example is called Genealogy of the Mobius Family, Genealogy and History of the Mobius Family from 1914, and it's from Lidgerwood, North Dakota. In addition to the family history books, we have some resources that help people research their family history. Examples of those types of materials would be, this one is Métis Families, a Genealogical Compendium, and another one would be the Czech Immigration Passenger Lists. Yep, so those are a few examples of the family history books. I also pulled out a few of the biographies of people from North Dakota. The first one is A Journal for Catherine by John Halloran. And in this book, you can see chapter 3, it talks about early Bismarck. And then we also have some that are collections of biographies of people around the state. It is one of my favorite collections to work with.
Larissa Harrison, State Records Archivist. Right now I am comparing the 1889 State Constitution to the 1972 State Constitution. So I have them out to look at. Well, these are the two documents, founding documents of our state. They say what our rights are, what the government agencies can and can't do. Well, the original Constitution from 1889 traveled through the state to Bismarck, and then in 1930 there was a fire at the state capitol. It survived that, and then it was kept in the Secretary of State's office, in the Secretary of State's actual working office, not down in the vault or anything like that, but in the Secretary of State's desk drawer. In the 1990s, the then Secretary of State contacted the Historical Society and the State Archives and said, hey, I want to transfer the original state constitution. And so we said, yeah, sure. They had this whole ceremony where they walked the Constitution with a big procession, escorted it down to the State Archives where we properly store it. And it was on display in our main gallery in the government section for a number of years. Now it's taking a well-deserved retirement and rest until it needs to be on display again.
Hi, I'm Megan Steele, and I'm the local government's records archivist here at the North Dakota State Archives. Well, I started out originally wanting to be a history teacher, but then I started working at the Nacogdoches Historical Sites, working in a house museum, and they had like a small archives there, and getting into that field, and I loved it so much. And then a friend of mine worked at the East Texas Research Center at the Stephen F. Austin State University campus, at the archives there. And she was like, hey, we have a job opening, apply. I think you'll love this even more than you love the house museums. And so I was like, okay, cool. And I haven't looked back since. I love the history of it. I love the fact that every day I come in, I learn something new, be it something really small or something, you know, really big, or just something within the field too. Like, okay, we had a discussion this morning about the acidity of paper. I was like, okay, how long can something actually be housed in an acid-free folder before it turns acidic? Because that'll happen. So we were debating, like, okay, is there a study out there? Like, let's see if we can find this. Like, this is an actual serious question. Like, why have we never talked about this before? You know, just that variety and that interest in different things that can pop up is just so much fun. It's really hard to be bored working as an archivist.
Hello, my name is Joy Pitts, and I am the photo archivist for the State Archives. Right now, what I'm doing is an inventory of our entire collection. So this is comprised of over 1,000 collections. Some have over 1,000 photos in each collection. So right now I'm just going through each individual one and either reprocessing or trying to correct the records in our system so that they match what the photo actually is. I find lots of cool photos all the time. One of my favorite collections is the Brown collection. I say that often because it is. It's early photographs of North Dakota, and they were actually taken to bring people in as advertisements, so those are really fun. I also love the Shane Balkowitz collection. We are actually currently still collecting his materials, but he is a working artist, so I just learned that there are only less than 200 wet plate photographers, and he is one of them in Bismarck, so that's pretty cool. So this is where we house Shane's collection. His plates are very fragile, but they're standing up in these boxes, and we also have his promotional materials and some actual non-Shane Balkowitz photographs that he's donated. So as you can see, it's a very large collection, and it continuously grows. And we also have digital scans that he's provided us.
So this was a little look behind the scenes here at the archives. Come and visit us, and we're happy to help you with anything that you might need. For more information, go to history.nd.gov/archives.